Hi, my name is Michael Cullen for Film Sound Tutorials, and this is another video in my video series of a one-man workflow for post-film sound. And in this video, we're going to talk about cueing and editing Foley. And so Foley is another type of sound effect group where the effects reproduce the sound of a character's movements in the film. And so although we could use hard effects and library sound effects for the movement of the characters, normally it's much more time efficient to record original Foley instead. So the Foley process is normally a 4-step process where first you cue the audio that you want to record, then you go out and record it, and then you edit it against the PFX, and then you import it into your main session. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Now to cue Foley, I normally like to do it in a separate session than my super session that I have right here. So let's make a new session by hitting Control N, and I'm just going to make a blank session, and my sample rate is going to be 48 kilohertz. And I'm going to save this within my Foley folder. And we're going to call this Murphy's Law Full Cued. All right. And we'll save our current session. And great, so here I have a brand new session that I'm going to do my Foley cueing in. And so let's bring in some of the elements that I had in my super session so that we don't start from scratch. So I'm going to hit Shift-Alt-I, which is import session data. And then I'm going to go and import the data from my editorial Pro Tools session that I just had open, which is right here. So after clicking the Pro Tools session, this window will come up, and I'm going to pull in a couple different tracks that I currently have. I'm going to pull in my picture lock and my guide track. And then I'm also going to pull in, by hitting Shift-Alt-I again, all of my pre-made Foley tracks, which are down here at the bottom of the Pro Tools session. Hit the first one, hit Shift, and select them all, and I'll bring those in as well. So now we have our new session here that we are going to queue up and list all the sound effects that we want to record when we're in the recording studio. So to do that, let me pull up my video window so I can see it. And so when I'm queuing Foley, I'm looking for 3 different categories, and that's props, footsteps, and cloth. And so normally I like to organize it within my Foley tracks over here on the left. And so just to remind myself where I'm going to put the stuff, maybe the first one I'll put in props, second one I'll put in props. In the third one, I'm going to put all of the footsteps that I want to record. Next one, footsteps as well. And then for tracks 5 and 6, I'll put in all of the cloth sound effects that I need. And then the bottom 2, if I decide to record the Foley with a stereo microphone pair, then I have tracks for that. Now that we have the tracks organized, let's start watching the film to see what kind of movements the characters make.
Okay.
All right, so there's a lot going on just in that first scene. So first we have her opening the door, and so that's going to be a prop sound effect. And so to make a note of where that sound effect happens, there's 2 different ways that you can do it. First, you could create a marker where that sound effect happens. So that would probably happen right here on the cut. And you can make a marker by hitting the enter on the numpad. And then you could say, okay, props, we need a car door open. Great. Now, that method is fine. However, when you have hundreds and hundreds of Foley clips that you have to list, your timeline gets really busy with so many markers. And so instead, let me show you the way that I prefer. So we'll drag that down onto my timeline to delete it. And instead, I'm going to add a blank clip to my timeline to signify what I want to record there. And so to make a blank clip here, I'm going to select the area that it happens. And it's fairly quick, it's right here on the cut. And then I'm going to do the keyboard shortcut Shift-Alt-3, and that renders for me a blank clip. And that blank clip by default will take the name of the track that it's currently on, but let's change that by double clicking on it and saying here I want a props, car, door, open. And so I like this way of cueing much better because not only does it show you where the sound effect needs to be placed, but it also shows you the duration that that sound effect needs to occur in. All right, so we have the car door open. I think she also, it looks like, slides her hand on the door. So let's put another blank clip, Shift-Alt-3, and we'll do props, hand, touch, And then I think she also does another one there as well. Double click, props, hand, touch. All right, so I think that's good for props. So then it also looks like in this shot, she gets up out of the car and starts walking. So to get that recorded, we'll put a blank clip under the footsteps, and we'll do the blank clip for as long as the shot lasts. And so that will go all the way until this cut there. Shift-Alt-3, double click, and we'll do footsteps, Sergeant on asphalt. And so now when the Foley artist is going to record this, they know who it is and what type of surface they need to record the footsteps on. Now, when the sergeant is walking, she's also going to need a cloth pass to make it sound like she's moving within the space. And so we'll add that onto the cloth track down here, and it'll probably be the same length as her walking. And so we'll do cloth, sergeant, and that should work. Awesome, so now you can see kind of the process of cueing the Foley, and when you're doing this cueing, just like you did in the sound effects, is to try to keep the character's Foley on the same tracks throughout the film, if possible. Great, so after you go through the entire session, finding out which Foley effects you need to record, then your session should look something like this, where you have a bunch of blank clips all organized, ready for the Foley recordist and the Foley artist to bring into the recording studio and know exactly what you need them to record. And so during that session, they'll record the audio straight on top of the blank clips to then complete each cue. And so now let's save copy in the session, click on audio file so you have all your blank clips, and save it in your Foley folder as Murphy's Law Foley Record. And so now this is going to copy all of our blank clips into a brand new session, and we'll be ready to record all the Foley clips. Now the next step in the process is to bring this Pro Tools session into a recording studio to actually record the Foley. Now of course I can't show you that in this tutorial, so let's move on to the next step, which is then bringing the recorded material back into our Super Session folder. So here's the Pro Tools session that's from the recording studio that now has all of the Foley effects recorded into the tracks that we already cued. Now you can see, as you can look around the timeline, you can see all of our recorded audio waveforms. And so now that we have our recorded sound effects, we have to go through the recorded clips to make sure that they match up to the PFX within the dialogue track. So a good example of that would be right here. So during our transition from the locker room to Murphy's home, Murphy throws his bag onto his dining room table. And so you can see that here. Now, since that movement was caused by Murphy, we recorded that within the Foley track. And you can see that here. And we also have another one as well. Cool. So both of those gym bag sounds were recorded to enhance the impact of that bag falling on the table. Now, when we recorded it, of course, it's not perfectly in sync with the PFX sound. And so if we zoom in closer, we can see that the recorded Foley track is just barely off of the PFX track. And so let's just go into slip mode and pull it back so then the peaks of the recorded Foley match up with the PFX sound. And it also looks like this bottom one could probably be moved as well. So now when we play it back again, it sounds much more cohesive, and it sounds like it's actually one sound instead of 3 different sound effects. And so what we'll have to do is go clip by clip to make sure that all of our recorded Foley matches up the PFX that is within the guide track or our dialogue track. Now that you went through all of the Foley clips, let's save this edited session as a new Pro Tools session that then we can bring back into our Super Session. And so we'll do save copy in again, click on audio files, and then instead of doing record, we'll do edited, and we'll do get rid of the copy of, and save. And now this is going to process this and make me a new Pro Tools session that then I can bring in to my Super Session. So here I am back in the main session that we've been working in, and now let's pull in our edited Foley clips from my other Pro Tools session. And so let me first delete all the placeholder tracks that I had for the Foley, and delete them. And now I'm going to hit the last track of the effects group, so then they will import right after that track. Then I'll hit Shift-Alt-I to import session data. and the Pro Tools session is under our Foley folder, and it's under edited. And so now let's pull in that Pro Tools session, and we don't need the picture lock or the guide track because this session already has it. So all I'm going to do is click on the first Foley track, hold shift, click on the last one, and import that. And since we originally brought in the placeholder tracks into our queued session at the beginning, both Pro Tools sessions have the same timecode settings. And so when I pull in this edited session, then all of the tracks should import perfectly in sync. And so now you can see that it's pulling in my audio clips, finding them, and then analyzing them, and then putting them into my super session here. And so now that all the Foley has imported and analyzed itself, last step, of course, is to go File, Save, Copy In, click on Audio Files, and we're going to save this new session within our editorial folder as Murphy Saw Editorial plus SFX with the DX, background sound effects, and now Foley 6, 18, 16, and we'll hit Save. And so this concludes this video of queuing and editing Foley, and in another video sometime soon, I'm going to show the actual recording process of Foley within the studio. So thanks for watching, and take care.